All right, hello everybody. How are you all doing? I hope you all doing well. My name is Paradise, and welcome to the Paradise League HoN Pro Tournament, season number 5. We're gonna start off here with a winner bracket semifinals with BPro against Bratan, and I'm joined here by Fa today. And what you got, gentlemen? How you doing today?
I'm doing lovely. Thank you for the introduction, Paradise. How are you doing, Fa?
I'm all right. A little bit tired, but happy to cast some good HoN games, hopefully. So
Me too. So we're here with our first series of the day, as mentioned by Paradise. We have BPro on the Legion side going up against Bratan here on the Hellborn side. The blind bands are done. Want to take me through them?
we have a Monarch, Demented Shaman, and a Curse Band coming out from the Legion side, and Flux, Concloud, Plague Rider from the Hellborn side. I think most of those bands are somewhat regular. I think the only one that stands out to me is the King Cloud. I assume it's some pick that is like specifically targeting something that BPro occasionally can do with like a combo draft. We already have a Bushwhack first pick right out of the gate, which is actually a hero that I kind of expected to have a 100% pick/ban rate in this particular tournament because the hero is extremely powerful currently.
Yeah, it's no surprise to me as well. Especially, playing the last week or two of Star League, as the teams are maybe trying to get some practice in. We've seen the Bushwhack pretty much addressed every single game, so that's, no surprise there. And interestingly enough, like you pointed out, the Legion side, they banned all defensive supports. And then the Hellborn team banned out all these like crazy teamfight combo heroes. So different style of bans even coming in.
Yeah,
and now we have...
So
yeah? No, I was just going to say, Icor and Lord Sulfuras picked up by Hellborn. They're going like tanky route kind of here.
Yeah, I think the Sulfuras is probably in general in this meta, it seems like a lot of teams are picking up a lot of healing heroes like Soul Reaper. I know some of the main ones, like basically all the heroes that the Legion have banned are all heal heroes, but there's still some heal heroes that are left over, and Sulfuras just does particularly well against those type of heroes. It's just very common for Jihadai to ban support heroes in general, so nothing new.
Yeah, I think it also excuse me. I think it also makes sense based on how BPro likes to play. They are your typical very aggro team, like compared to some of the other teams in the comp scene. They like to play sometimes without a carry, so they play more of this like mid-game style of draft, so very high tempo. Yeah. And that can be kind of hard to do when you play against heroes like the ones they banned out, the Monarch, the Demented Shaman, which are very good at counter aggression.
I definitely agree. They really like these kind of pile-on drafts where they find like one person and then they just like pile on with like 4 stunts and just fully commit to that person to bring them down. If it's like a core hero, which is just really hard to do if you're going up against like a Monarch or an Curse or something that can just immediately remove the stun on that said person. So yeah, I think you're on point with that idea. We have a Gladiator pick that probably will be for Dota. I think Gladiator is also a really powerful hero currently after the change to his flagellation. He's just really strong at keeping the lane frozen while still like harassing his opponent. So yeah, it's definitely a really powerful hero that you can easily get away with picking early on. So
for sure, I've always liked the ability to show down yourself or teammates as well. That got buffed like a while back. Been a while, but like you can do some cheeky regen plays or baits with people blinking into fights and stuff. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, the hero is really well rounded currently. He's just a solid laner, solid scaling, solid team fighter. Is a decent farmer as well. So he's just like a pretty good pick in all areas, I'd say. At Geomant as well, that hero was also buffed in the latest patch. So it seems they are trying to pick some buffed heroes. I'd say they're all pretty standard picks. We do have a little bit of a slightly different draft on the Hellborn side with the Prisoner picked up. That hero was nerfed in the latest patch. Usually a hero that you want to pair with some kind of setup stun. And I would say that the Hellborn side, they don't really have any setup stuns or like setup disables at all currently. So it might be like slightly more challenging for the Prisoner to be able to connect the hook in this game, especially with the fact that the hook has been lowered in range at the early level. So
They have a lot of slows. I'm looking at their heroes from top to bottom, but not, like you said, not a lot of like targetable disables per se.
Yeah.
We'll quickly touch on the second banning phase before we're done here. Magmus, Jerizaya, Devourer, Pharaoh, Moraxis, and Soul Reaper. There's a Soul Reaper you mentioned in the earlier part of the draft, but I don't know, at least for me, I think the rest of that looks pretty normal, I would say.
Yeah, it makes kind of sense since they have a soul Self-Forest on the Hellborn side. They are not really too scared of healing heroes anymore, so they're just banning heroes that are strong. Like Magmus is a really strong hero currently. Devourer is still a strong hero in my opinion. And the Legion team, they recognize that they don't really have an answer to deal with like heroes like Soul Reaper and Jerizaya, so they decide to get rid of those heroes as well, which I think is a fair line of bans. But we have a Madman pick come out, so it seems to be quite a few like right-click heroes on the Legion side. So they have really good scalability if the game decides to go late, but I feel like that's a scrap pick coming out.
I was getting so happy for just like a split moment. I saw the Warbase Shadow pick. Although I don't think we would have actually seen a Warbase with what they had already picked up. You did mention they picked up a Madman on top of having a Bushwhack and a Gladiator already. So that's very physical heavy, right-click type of lineup.
So the Legion, the Hellborn team, decided to go with the last pick, Moon Queen, which is a pretty standard pick for Dummy. I know he likes to play Moon Queen as well as Bushwhack. Those are like his main two heroes. So I feel like it might have been I do think that Legion team are pretty equipped to deal with the Moon Queen. There's not really, they do have some kind of saves in the chipper focus buffer, as well as I think Icor has some defensive abilities as well, so they do have some saves in the Moon Queen. So if the game does go late, I think Moon Queen could still be able to run away with the game. That being said, I think Legion, they're also really equipped to go into the late game. They have Bushwhack, which is one of the strongest late game heroes in the game, and then they also have Gladiator and Madman. So
so I guess, if this game goes to super late game, Moon Queen is probably one of those carries that can deal with like a pretty decently farmed Tricore, right? Because she just naturally does a lot of damage as a single like carry. Now she's paired with a Self-Forest, who I'm sure they will be expecting him to be quite farmed this game as well. But Moon Queen probably one of the better late game carries, I would say. But Bushwhack against a Moon Queen, when he pops the Shrunken, I think he can just run down the Moon Queen, right? Like she can't really fight back without being able to auto attack back. Getting her attack speed stolen, and maybe being able to miss with the crippling dart as well.
Yeah, it might be a little bit problematic for her. This is obviously not like anything set in stone or anything, but looking at how the Hellborn is laning currently, Prisoner has decided to opt for boots. I don't know if it might just be like temporary run down to lane boots, but if he goes for boots, let's say he's a position 4, then I'm very confused, because then they're going to have a chipper, an Icor, and a prisoner with boots. So then they're going to have 3 support heroes. I hope they're not going to go with that route. I hope it's just like a temporary boots just to get out to the lane quicker.
So well, Chipper has a ward on him, so I think he's supporting.
Yeah, I'm definitely sure.
And Icor also has a ward, so I would imagine Prisoner will sell the boots, and looks like he's their position 3. Or, well, I guess 2 in this case, as he's playing mid, but probably going to be more of that position 3 hero.
So they're going to send Self-Forest bottom lane, and then have maybe the Prison on mid lane with the chipper rotating between mid and top. I'm not sure I love the idea of a Self-Forest being on the long lane, because I do feel like if you're running a chipper with a Self-Forest, you're probably going to end up stacking a little bit, and you probably would rather have the Self-Forest closer to the jungle camps rather than the Prisoner. That being said, I think it might also be dangerous to focus too much on stacking early on if you're playing against BPro, since you need to make sure you don't fall behind and just play for stacks.
Yeah, so do you think we can predict BPro's lanes? I want to see if we can get this right. We do see Madman going to the top lane. We played by Yagar Dig. I know against us one time they ran this exact same lane, Bushwhack Geomancer, I think it was, in mid lane. I don't know. Was it that same combo? I think it was, right?
Yeah, they ran those.
I think we were running a Doctor Chipper or something.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty strong lane.
I've seen this from BPro before, and they did well with it. And then that
Yeah.
would mean that they would send the scrap maybe bot with the Gladiator.
Yeah, I think they can honestly, like from what I see, they can lane this in a lot of different ways. They could either just run like a dual long lane with like a Madman plus scrap and just try to apply some pressure. They could just have the Madman suicide. They could have the Gladiator solo. They could run the Bushwhack solo bot and dual mid, dual top. I feel like there's like an endless way that they can run the lanes for the Legion side, because all the 3 heroes on Legion, the core, so kind of all need to have like a relatively good game to be useful. So I think no matter what, one of them is probably gonna suffer more than the other two naturally, but just curious to see how, because I feel like applying pressure to Moon Queen early on might be a good idea. So I would kind of like that they actually decided to like do a long lane. I feel like it might be like I mean, obviously they can deal with it, but is it necessary to like allow the Moon Queens to free farm completely early on? That's
I would say probably not. And they have support heroes in the Geo and the Scrap that can both go long lane very effectively, I would say.
They do have
seeing how it is Novi playing the Geo, I would expect that to be position 5 and the Scrap be more of the secondary support.
Are they expecting a silent maybe? Since they're running through together
for Legion here.
I think they might at first maybe start with 3 hero spot and then maybe rotate. No, okay, I think he's just gonna run mid on either the Geomancer or on the Scrap. I feel like dual lane Gladiator is pretty decent nowadays, since you can keep the lane frozen still and not like farming at your opponent's tower. So I think with the flagellation that changes, I think dual mid Gladiator is pretty decent.
Yeah, so they're actually running the Bushwhack lane in the short lane, a bit more. I would call this standard, putting the hard carry down in the bot lane. And then Gladiator with Scrap. Do you think that lane will do well against the Prisoner Chipper? Or
yeah, I think they should do pretty well. I don't think. I just don't see how the Chipper plus Prisoner, like what they really do together. Like the rockets like give you like no setup for your hook, and even after hooking, I mean, I guess you have rockets to follow up on those, but it doesn't feel like that there's some kind of big synergy between those 2 heroes. And also this like the stacking that Chipper provides is somewhat useless with the heroes that they have currently. Like Moon Queen is not going to be clearing stacks early on.
Madman's pulling the creep wave here. The 2 supports for Hellborn are going to try to stop this a bit, but he's actually trying to, I think, make it like a double wave, but not going to be able to hold it long enough. It just delays it.
I'm not sure what his plan is here. I've seen him do this kind of thing before, where he's trying to like double stack the creep wave, and so
Moon Queen is holding the wave by her tower. So
the Madman actually blocked the medium camp. So usually, what you want to do if your opponent does that is you just send your creep camp, or the enemy team's creep camp to the medium camp. You just get a free medium camp. But since you block that camp, he actually had nowhere to go with that creep camp. So that was pretty good heads up play from.
Now it's like a 2-wave versus 2-wave almost. In the top lane.
I'm not sure if there's like any kind of reward from that line of play that he took, but I mean.
Yeah, it looks like Moon Queen's doing a good job of keeping it like in that lane spot so that it doesn't push mid lane. Scrap got hooked into the tower. Bloodlust comes out for Fallen One. For Go Bratan, they are off to a good start.
Yep. I think so.
South Forest being the solo long lane. Looks like a pretty challenging lane for him to go up against a Bushwhack and a Geo. If he tries to less at any creeps, he's going to take a lot of harass.
Yeah, I would be kind of surprised if he actually manages to sustain. Okay, he just TP'd out. It's pretty.
He TP's to base.
I think he had to, honestly. It's too much HP he has to cover.
Which is probably fine, yeah.
The question is here, is it even worth it for him to run down to the long lane here? Like, does he actually get anything from being there? Because like he can stay there for like 15 seconds, and then the Geomancer shows up, and then he has to leave again. Isn't it just better just to go jungle? Honestly.
Maybe it's too early, I think, because he doesn't have any levels in his more Certissima. Chipper and Madman fought at the top Merrick's rune, and Chipper did a good job of refilling the bottle from Prisoner. I didn't manage to see that.
Suppose the lane is pushing out a little bit now.
So, before we have any more action, do you like that change where they removed the first 2-minute rune from spawning? It spawns both Merrick
I think it's a really good change. I think it made mid lane feel a little more bearable. And you're not so like relying on your supports camping the runes versus like if your opponent supports or jungle or whatever camps one of the runes and no one camps your runes, and it can just give you a really like sour taste. It just makes the lane a lot more RNG based because your opponent can get like an early DD rune or Mystic rune or something, and then you just can't really lane properly for like at least a minute or so.
You were leading into my next question. I was going to ask you, out of the 5 runes, you could only pick one. Which one would be your your least favorite to see the opponent get at 2 minutes?
I think it kind of depends on the hero. I think actually like even though DD is really good, the fact that DD only lasts for like 30 seconds actually makes it like not always the best rune in my opinion. I think I honestly think on some heroes illusion rune is really strong because your illusions they last for a really long time, so you can deny a lot of creeps with that, especially if your opponent don't really have any. Sorry, there's who coming out here. You got a pitfall.
Scrap could be in trouble again. He has golden apple though still.
We have a turnaround.
Chipper getting turned on here by Gladiator, doesn't have boots. Counter rockets coming in, but no more mana now on the Chipper. Looks like he'll get the distance to safety.
To bring back
now Sulfuras is getting some farm under his tower, which is good for him. This hero mostly just wants levels. Mid lane Prisoner getting caught out of position here. Goes for the hook. Does hit it on the scrap, but Chipper is very low, and again doesn't have any mana for rockets. Doze has a pitfall coming up in 5 more seconds, trying to get in range for the showdown. But there's a regen rune. Does get picked up. It doesn't matter because Geomancer's there, and Navi collects that kill, making it a 2-1 lead now for BPro.
So it seems that although I think the Sulfuras had like 2 creep waves under his tower, he still only managed to like get 3 last hits. So I think he missed a lot of his last hits. So he's only sitting at a 100 GPM, which is a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, probably would like to see a bit more creep kills than just that, but.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I think he can use his more Stratismus or the life tap to like assist him in lasting as well. Yeah, he doesn't really have a lot of other things to spend the mana on anyway. But
how's Madman doing? He's got 12 last hits in comparison to that Sulfuras, so he's having a much better time.
Yeah.
Not quite sure if the gold's being put into consumables to stay in lane, or he's actually. I think he just had about 400 or 500 gold, so he bought something. He's got a big wave under his tower as well. Mid lane.
Wait! Actually, top lane
Mousetrap hits Chipper, and meanwhile top lane they're diving the Madman. He has a stock up in 1 more second. He uses the barrel roll. He's gonna get jumped on by the Icor. He dies. Meanwhile, mid lane the fight does continue. Scraps out of mana. It looks like there's a showdown. No pitfall though. I think that was already used. And poured in from Sulfuras. Gladiator might be in some trouble now. Does have the Marchers though. There are no boots on any of these Hellborn heroes. Gladiator's manning up here. Not going to be the correct choice. Geomancer comes in. Maybe thought the team support would be there a little faster. Geomancer getting turned on as well, and Scrap as well. The trio of Hellborn heroes is just too strong. But Scrap has boots. And now here comes Jogger Dig on the Madman. Nice barrel roll, connects on the 2. Might collect the second kill on the Sulfuras here. Throws out the taunt. We'll take him out with the stock here. Saw that one coming. Double tap for the Madman. That was a very long mini skirmish there going on in the mid lane.
Yep, it was a quite back and forth fight for both teams. To some extent, it was actually good for the Madman that he died on sub lane, so he could immediately go at the mid lane with full mana and get 2 kills afterwards. So.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I'm sure he's not too happy with the first death, but definitely got rewarded with the respawn into TP. Bushwhack's doing quite good here for Legion, 400 GPM. But Moon Queen, with only 1 assist so far, 430, so doing slightly better.
I'm a bit surprised that no one on the Hellborn side of the top lane had picked up a battery, considering they went up against the Madman. So I feel like they could have gotten a lot of mana from constant stock spamming. But they're actually
a Geomancer here. Do they have enough damage for this?
I think they do.
Queen? Here comes the ulti. Does he get some lucky bounces? Almost gets the return kill on the Geomancer. Lives with 21 life. Icor wasn't in range to provide assistance.
Yeah, that's sort of the issue with you.
Look in the mid lane onto Gladiator. He does dodge 1 or 2 rockets. Does have bottle. Still, the hook is down for 5 more seconds. Scrap trying to body block the rockets for his teammate, and it looks like it will be fine. They might even, look to try to turn. Chipper taking a full creep wave.
So Batman already has steam.
That will be that.
Oh.
That's a lot of pressure. There's a jump from Icor though with the dust. Is it enough to kill him? Actually,
he's fine. He has battery 6 charges.
6 battery charges should be fine.
Okay, so the Bushwhack actually opted to max his Q ability, only putting 1 point into his E. What are your thoughts about that?
Not a Bushwhack player.
I would agree with that.
Prison Break, I think did stun up the Gladiator, but he's just too tanky. The ports are coming in from both sides. Regen was used by Chipper here. But again, they don't have any real crowd control like we talked about at the draft, so Legion just kind of falls back to their tower, they reset, and they are good to go.
Yep.
Look at how even the GPM chart is for Moon Queen and Bushwhack. It's like neck to neck.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that they have the same GPM considering that Moon Queen was killed. And they have about the same CS between the two, so I'm actually not quite sure why they have the exact same GPM.
Must come down to like specific neutrals they killed or something.
Or like it can also be sometimes the creeps have sometimes you can be unlucky with the averages from the creep gold.
Yeah, might have got some low rolls. I was gonna say BPro is in about a 1,000 gold lead, but looking at the GPM chart, it looks almost identical for both sides. Still very early on here, as we approach 9 minutes. So
we're diving in the bot lane right now.
Yeah, 2 TPs come in. So Forest doesn't have marchers though. Can't really look for a counter. Might try to go for a tower deny here. Doesn't get it. Geomancer comes in with the stun. Does unfortunately miss. Very close to landing. Bushwhack is manning up here, but there is a Chipper and a Prisoner here. He gets shackled here by the Prisoner, and he's gonna get Prison Break in. Does fall. Doesn't get the counter kill onto the Self-Force. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Moon Queen's getting dove. You take out the scrap, but Moon Queen does die. Man,
both sides go down here.
Turn kill 1 versus 3, not the worst thing in the world, but definitely not great to be dying on the Moon Queen. And it's funny, both carries kind of getting jumped at the same times across the map, kind of evens itself out.
I will say though that I think that Bushwhack death was kind of unavoidable. He kind of decided to like step forward, try to engage them 1 or 3 rather than just jumping away. So
they also have the ward down here from Navi. I mean, I think they should have saw the ports come in from the tower. So maybe just a bit too aggro there from Snark. But
and then for some reason he's deciding to try to go for some aggressive plays on the Bushwhack. I'm a little bit confused by this lineup play, if I have to be honest with you. Maybe they're trying to like
Icor walking into Madman and Scrap here. The rat will stun him up. Meanwhile, mid lane, Hasted Gladiator is running through the jungle. They do have a ward here, and by that I mean both Hellborn and Legion in their own jungle. We could have a clash up here in the top lane. As Madman's leading the way, gets a 2-man barrel roll, but here comes the Moon Finale. Madman will die to the Icor link there. Meanwhile, Icor's ultimate is activated. Moon Queen falls as well as the Chipper.
Here comes the Bushwhack again. They do a lot of damage here, I think.
And now Bushwhack, he has to avoid the Prisoner hook. It's a hat-trick coming out for Karhuki. Could be a team wipe here. Prisoner all alone. And he's gonna fall. So they only lost Madman. 5 for 1 team fight. Going the way of BPro. And just like that fought, it's a 4,900 gold lead. They might even get some stacks as a consolation prize if they're able to clean these before they respawn. Hellborn definitely gonna want to try to defend these.
And the Scrap
they
actually popped a rejuvenation potion here to help clear the stacks from the Hellborn jungle.
Yeah, he has Vorax actually as well. I'm surprised he's not spawning that.
Yeah, that's kind of the danger with just stacking the jungle fully if you have no one in your team who can clear it early on. Like you're sure you have a Moon Queen who can kind of jump back into clearing the stacks, but you effectively just did like a double, triple stack for your opponents. And it puts extra pressure on you to defend your jungle, kind of putting you in a situation where you have to take fights that you don't necessarily want to take. It's just like a bit of like a double-edged sword to stack.
Prisoner smoked up here. Tries the hook, not going to land though on the scrap. Good dodge there from Karhuki. Regen here will be picked up by Chipper in the top lane. Looks like Scrap now decides to spawn Borax. He sends it to the bottom lane. So they have added their 6th hero to their roster at 12.5 minutes. Probably the most fearsome opponent, in my opinion, of Legion.
Yep. So the Madman is currently sitting on 1,300 gold. Going to be top to defend the top tower. What do you think he's going to work towards in the Madman here? Do you think he's going to go for like a muck here, or do you think he would go for like a
first item shrunken? First item shrunken. It's Algar Dig.
Okay, he went for the Soul Trap. I was actually going to ask if he went for the Dreamcatcher here. I was a little bit like
maybe, yeah.
Because it does feel like you don't necessarily need to have like an extra right clicker. So having an early Dreamcatcher or something to. Does it do anything? I suppose it does.
Mid lane on the Prisoner. Here comes the Crystal Field into the Cold Arms. Hits onto 2 as Icor jumps in. That's going to be 2 fast kills. Chipper now out of mana, but there are no more spells left for the Legion side. They will turn their attention toward the tower now. And yeah, back to your point was about the Dreamcatcher on Madman.
Like, it's just more that I suppose that the Icor can like you know is he able to dispel it and like kind of inflict it back on his opponents, or
which spell was it?
The Dreamcatcher effect. Sorry.
I think so. Yeah, I think any debuffs you can redirect.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I shouldn't say any. Most. Yeah. Almost all debuffs, but
I suppose regardless, if you have like several charges on the Dreamcatcher, you can always reapply it after it's been like redirected to an ally.
Yeah.
So it's not like the biggest counter in the world. Yeah.
Probably a good shrunken basher game for Madman, though. I would think that he will probably want those items at some point.
I wouldn't mind to see Dreamcatcher.
We have a team fight mid lane though. Gladiator gonna go down here. Looks like the numbers advantage was for Hellborn this time.
Oh, Moon Queen's overstepping.
Moon Queen is getting countered on though. Here comes a dig stun. One more auto attack. Madman actually cleans it up with the stock. Hook hits onto Scrap here, but now Bushwhack is here. Needs to break that prison break. Gets shackled up though, gets pulled in. Do they have the damage though? Not a lot of mana on the Chipper. Prisoner being forced to fall back. Karhuki does die in the background. They do take out Fallen One on the Prisoner. And now Chipper, he's gonna get cleaned up as well. So Forrest is here, but can't really commit to pick a target. And he will just fall back. Icor escapes into the Hellborn jungle, has TP. And he will look to go back to base. So that was actually a hat trick coming out for Madman in the end. I would imagine he maybe just finished the Dreamcatcher with all that gold he probably just got.
He did. I like that. And it definitely feels like the Hellborn team, they're just not able to keep up with the pace coming out from BPro currently. So
this is a solo long lane suicide Madman, by the way. And he is the top GPM of the game. I gotta say, that is quite impressive. Played very well this game.
With the 6 kills, with I suppose 3 of them being on the enemy's carry, so...
Mousetrap stuns in Self-Forest. Geomancer misses the stun, but he does hit the Earth's Grasp. Gonna not matter in the end, it's enough damage, and he falls top lane. 10,000 gold lead here at 15 minutes. 18 to 8 hero kill lead. BPro starting to slowly run away with the early game, as Moon Queen is trying to continue her farm progression in the jungle. Madman finding Chipper in the mid lane, stalks into him. Double barrel roll comes out on the Icor, but no follow-up for Madman. He'll be forced to fall back, or will he? He's trying to hang around in the area, possibly wait for the cooldowns. Meanwhile, Geomancer running into Moon Queen. Crystal Field is down, will stun up the Moon Queen. Barrel roll coming in 1 more second. It will take out the Moon Queen. Actually, Karhuki gets the kill, and then Icor also falls. Chipper now in no man's land, no mana, no HP. Hook does hit onto Madman, but there's no stuns to keep him in place. Chipper gets dope. Prisoner all by himself with Self-Forest. Dreamcatcher's applied. They take him out. Just doesn't feel like there's a lot of fighting power there coming back from Go Bratan at the moment. Just perhaps too far behind at this point.
Yeah, I do think like it's partially just also related to the draft. They have a really slow draft with they kind of rely on all the heroes sort of hitting their items, where they're just really far from any kind of substantial items that can kind of help them win any fight. So
Look at the top part of the map. Look what's happening. Boom.
I-
Kongor coming out from Bushwhack.
I thought you meant the map and pulling the.
Yeah, I wasn't that specific, but top-ish half of the map.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Sort of the top, sort of the middle.
Yeah, I got you.
It's first Kongor of the game. Solo Kongor coming out from the Bushwhack.
So, do you think there's any way for the Hellborn team to get back into this game, or do you think they're just too far behind to be able to crawl back into a lead in this game?
I think they actually lack the tools that they need to take a proper team fight.
Actually, got an engagement
And
on the Gladiator.
it'll have to start with solo pickoffs.
It's really difficult for them to pick up heroes with
And then
their
Crystal
craft.
Field comes in from Navi, gets a double tap. He's on a legendary streak. And Bushwhack is here now. Jim Answer blinks up the cliff. Moon Queen and Icor in the jungle trying to run away. Madman leading the front charge with the Dreamcatcher on himself. Takes out Icor. Moon Queen, last one standing. She falls. And it's once again another genocide coming out for BPro. And that will do it. I think that one was a little bit too far gone. Game 1 will go to BPro in dominating fashion, I would say. Any final thoughts on that one, Fa?
That seemed like the game seemed a bit too easy for BPro, I gotta say. But hopefully, the Hellborn team will be able to give them a better run for the money in game 2. But